Hey guys, it's Alexis, aka the Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do my December book haul. So I will just show you guys what I received. The first thing I want to mention was something I did get for Christmas, but because it is bookish related, I figured I'd go ahead and show you guys, and that is that my parents got me a Kindle Paperweight for Christmas. I've had a Kindle and Amazon account for years now. I had a tablet and on my phone that I was reading all of my ebooks on, but I wanted something bigger than my phone, but smaller than a tablet, lighter than a tablet that I could carry around to just read books on. And so my parents got me the Kindle Paperweight, and I'm absolutely loving it so far. I just love how simple it is, you know, and everything, and it's really, I read a lot in the dark, previously on my tablet and now on my Kindle, and it's really easy on the eyes in the dark, and I really like that because it doesn't make me feel like my eyes are burning whenever I'm going to bed at night. So I did get a Kindle Paperweight. I highly recommend it for those of you who can read on like a Kindle, because I know not everybody can, but it's great. I love mine. This one really was not the most expensive Kindle. It's basically just the regular Kindle but with a backlight on it, and it works perfectly fine for me. Next book, the first book I'm going to actually show you was a gift that I got for my parents. My parents and my brother actually did buy me a couple of books for Christmas. Unfortunately, I think 3 books. My mom had ordered me 3, and I think 2 of those didn't come in, and then my brother had ordered me one, and it also didn't come in before Christmas, because we got them from Book Depository, so obviously shipping from the UK and or Australia takes a little bit longer to get here to the United States, but one of them did come in, and it's probably the one I was most excited for anyway, so that's kind of nice. But my parents got me Jane Eyre, obviously by Charlotte Bronte, in this really gorgeous edition. And I really love it. So many people say that Jane Eyre is one of their favorite classics, and so I'm really excited to read it. And I like this edition. I like that the font is not exceptionally small, but that this edition is like extreme floppiness, and it's really pretty. I feel like the cover is just really gorgeous, and so I'm super excited to have this one. I'm not fully sure what Jane Eyre is actually about. I believe it's about a woman who gets like a job being a governess or something to kill, or I might just be thinking of the Sound of Music actually, but I may just be thinking of the Sound of Music, but I think it's something like that, where like this girl gets to be a governess or something, and she falls in love with the man of the house or something like that. Obviously I don't fully know what it is, but I mean, so many people just absolutely love the story. It's obviously like a romance, and I'm just excited to check it out. The next 6 books are going to be ones that I actually ordered from Book Outlet. I didn't place a Book Outlet order on their wonderful Black Friday sale like everyone else, because I was like, I don't need any more books, I won't buy any more books. And then like 4 days after Black Friday, I decided to go on there and buy a bunch of books, which was stupid because obviously their stock was a little down after a huge Black Friday sale, but I did still end up getting a couple of books that I've been wanting for a while, and some that were sequels that I just went ahead and picked up because they were such a great price. The first one I picked up is one that I am so excited for. I've actually already started reading it. It's one of the top 15 books I want to read in 2017, so I'm so excited. I got it for such an amazing price because I've been wanting to read this book for like 2 years, and that is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is about a Chinese-American family in the 70s, and it's basically about one of their daughters ends up dead. That's not a spoiler, it's literally on the back of the book, by the way. So one of their daughters ends up dead, and it's basically just about like this family dealing with that and coming to terms with the fact that like they don't really know each other at all, and with like the expectations that they've had and everything. So that's what this is about. I've already started it, like I said. I'm enjoying it so far, but I've just been dying to read this book for so long, so I'm so excited I finally got a copy. The next book I picked up from Book Outlet was Tamora Pierce's Alana the First Adventure, the first book in the Song of the Lioness Quartet, and this is a pretty well-known, I guess, like children's fantasy story. I don't know if it's necessarily children's, but I know a lot of people read it when they were kids. But it's basically about Alana, who basically switches places with her brother so that she can train to become a knight, which is like a position typically only for men, and her brother, I think, takes her place and goes on to train to do magic. I don't know. I know that Katrina at The Little Book Owl really likes these books, and she reread them last year, I think, and she talked a lot about them, and it really made me interested to pick them up. So I got this one from super cheap at Book Outlet, and I'm excited to go ahead and get into it. So I'm basically trying to read a lot of the classical fantasy stories, more Tamora Pierce and the Sabriel series by Garth Nix, and yeah, so more of those classic ones, so I'm excited to check this one out. The next one I picked up at Book Outlet is Emperor of the Eight Islands, the first book in the Tale of the Shikanoko by Leanne Hearn. To be honest, I don't really know what this one's about all that much. I just think that the cover is really beautiful. And I know that Leanne Hearn's other series, the Tales of the Nightingale Floor, or whatever that series is called, is like really well received. And this one is a fantasy story that has, you know, like East Asian influences. And so that's definitely interesting to me. I'm definitely interested in reading a lot more fantasy that has, you know, like a Japanese or Chinese influence. So yeah, this one was super cheap and I wanted to pick it up. The next one I picked up is 5 to 1 by Holly Bodger, which is another one that I've been wanting to pick up for a while. It's super short, where basically there is like this extreme imbalance between men and women. There is like 1 woman born to every 5 males. And so it's basically like the women are forced to like or the men compete in a competition to choose a wife, to see who like gets a wife or whatever. And I've heard that it's a really good look at like gender and like feminism and stuff, so I'm really excited. A lot of people have said that this is like a really good book, and I'm just excited to check it out. My last two are sequels to books that I haven't read yet. The sequels are so cheap, and I know I'll like both of these books, so I was just like, I'll go ahead and pick up the sequel for super cheap. The first one is Half Wild by Sally Green, which is the sequel to Half Bad by Sally Green. I have not read Half Bad yet, but I've read the first like 5 chapters or something, and I really enjoyed what I read. I just haven't actually gotten around to reading it, but I'm sure I'll really like it because I know that the main character is kind of an anti-hero, and I've heard that the series is really gritty. And I'm just really excited to check it out. Half Bad follows the main character, Nathan, who is basically like half of the white witches, I guess, and half of the black witches, which is like the good witches and then the bad witches, and he is literally the son of one of each, so he is like half bad. I'm not really sure what it entails. I haven't read the book yet, but yeah, I went ahead and picked up the sequel because it was super cheap. The next sequel I picked up is Mortal Gods by Kendar Blake. This is the sequel to Anti-Goddess, which again I haven't read yet, but I really love Kendar Blake's writing, and so while I haven't gotten Anti-Goddess yet, I'm sure I will enjoy it when I pick it up, so I just went ahead and picked up the sequel. Anti-Goddess is about basically like the gods of old, like the Roman and the Egyptian and the Eastern gods and stuff. They're all basically dying from some like plague, and there is a prophetess who is basically unaware that she is this really old prophetess, and she is like the key to unlocking what's killing them and everything. And so basically these two gods, I believe it's Athena and Hermes, go on a hunt to find her and figure out what the hell's going on. And yeah, I just really love everything Kendar Blake writes. I've liked everything I've read by her so far, so I just went ahead and picked up the sequel. The last 3 books are books I got from my local secondhand bookstore. 2 of them I had never heard of before, but I just went ahead and picked them up. They were a really good price. And the last one was a book I actually read in 2016, but I wanted to own my own copy of it, and I found one for like $2, and I was like, yeah. The first one is The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. If you watched my Around the Year in 52 Books wrap-up, you'll know that I read this book for my challenge to read a book with a food or drink in the title, so mango, obviously. I already read this one, and I actually most likely will end up selling it back to my local bookstore. And it's basically about a girl named Esperanza as she grows up on Mango Street, which is in Chicago, and so it's basically just about her growing up. She is part of a Latino family, obviously, and about all the things that come with that. The next one I picked up is actually an anthology. I'm trying to get more into reading short stories. I've read 2 in 2016, and so I'm hoping to read a couple more in 2017. So I went ahead and picked this one up at my bookstore. It was super cheap, and the cover is beautiful. And that is Rags and Bones, New Twists on Timeless Tales, edited by Tim Pratt and Melissa Marr. And I mean, that cover is gorgeous. And so basically it's like really classic, almost fairy tales, or like classic tales basically, and then these list of authors all decided to reimagine them. So there is the Fairy Queen, the Monkey's Paw, Carmilla, Sleeping Beauty, Rumpelstiltskin, and like some classic tales by Rudyard Kipling, Henry James, Nathaniel Hawthorne. And so basically these authors, and it's a pretty impressive list of authors, Kelly Armstrong, Holly Black, Neil Gaiman, Marissa Marr, Garth Nix, Margaret Stoll, Carrie Ryan, Rick Yancey. So it was like a pretty impressive thing, and I loved the cover so much, and I'm trying to get more into short stories, and this thing was only like $5, so I went ahead and picked it up. The last book I bought in December is the one I had already read, and I wanted a copy of it. And that was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This was actually one of my favorite books of 2016, but I had actually read it online and listened to an audiobook of it, so I really wanted my own copy just because I enjoyed this book so much. Fahrenheit 451 tells the story of Guy Montag, who is basically a fireman, and what that means is he goes in and burns illegal books, so books that have been banned by the government, and he burns them, and it's basically about him kind of struggling with this idea of censorship, and it's basically about him discovering books and how beautiful and wonderful they can be, and what that means that he has to give up for this newfound love of books. And yeah, I just really loved it. I loved everything it was about, and so I really wanted my own copy, and I highly recommend this one. It's now one of my all-time favorite classics. It's so good. Alright guys, so those were all of the books I bought in December. Not a overly impressive haul, like I said, but after I bought so many books in the first half of 2016, I'm definitely trying to cut back a lot. So I pretty much only let myself buy books that are super cheap or are anticipated releases that I'm really looking forward to getting. And then of course some of these were given to me as gifts. So I definitely am trying to cut back on the amount of books I'm buying, but you know, sometimes I can't help going to the bookstore because it calms me down. And when I see books for like $5, I'm like, well, alright, I gotta own it. But you guys should let me know down below if you bought anything this month, maybe what your favorite purchase of the month is, if you got any books for Christmas, if you don't celebrate Christmas, if you just picked up anything else, or if you celebrate Hanukkah, what'd you get for the 8 days of Hanukkah, you know, whatever, and I'll see you guys soon with another video.